So how do I get involved in cars? Just basically through family. My uncles had workshops, panel beaters and spray painting and a mechanical shop, and just grew up cars, and yeah, just sort of in the blood really. So basically Nissans, mainly GDRs, RBs, some SR20 work as well, and a little bit of Subaru work, but essentially it's a GDR focused workshop. Today we're going to be putting Bono's RB30 bottom end together. It's one of our OEM crank 1000 horsepower packages. So I personally prefer RB30s over RB26s, RB28s, mainly because of block strength. The extra height that we get from the block makes the block a bit stiffer and helps with cracking and things like that. And plus it's, for the money, it's relatively cheap. Not so much a stroker kit, but it increases in capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you get one of these?
Oh, anywhere. Okay. Wrecking yard. Yeah. People wrecking VLs, yeah. R31 Skylines. Yeah. So the head bolts on, yeah, with the right gasket. The main modification that we have to do on these is when you put the sump, an all-wheel drive sump on, we need an adapter plate, which we get from Platinum Racing Products, which is this one here. So that converts the pan rail where the sump bolts to, from a two-wheel drive pan to a four-wheel drive pan. Okay, so this is Bono's RB30 bottom end that we're going to put together now for his R34 GDR. So first thing we're going to do is put the crankshaft in. So we'll turn it over. Okay, so we've got ACL race bearings and ARP main studs. So first, you just put some assembly lube on the bearings. All right, so this is our 1000 horsepower rated factory RB30 crankshaft. We drill and grub screw oil galleries so the plugs don't come out with oil pressure, and so we can clean the crankshaft properly. On the front, we put a wide, what they call a long nose collar for the oil pump drive. It's all been balanced, polished, straightened, crack tested, and yeah, that's basically it. There's not really much to it. It's pretty simple setup. The girdle. Now put some ARP lube on our main studs. So we're just putting some more ARP thread lube on the nuts for the main studs. It's a horrible job, messy, and there's no real. So this is so that the nuts don't bind up on the threads and the studs, and everything torques up nicely, so you get the correct torque reading or the correct torque setting when you tighten your girdle down. So what that'll do is it'll make sure your bearing clearances are right, because everything's tensioned to the same torque setting, and you get the correct clamp. So our washers. So now we're going to snug up all the nuts just to bring the cradle down, the girdle down, before we get our torque wrench and tighten everything properly. So we've got a procedure now where we have to tighten all these nuts in the right order. So we start from the center and work our way outwards. Alright, so now we're going to tension these. Make sure our crankshaft turns nice and easy. Beautiful. We'll get our pistons, conrods, some more assembly lube. Oil up the bores. You don't want to put anything together without any lubrication. We'll do number 1 and number 6 at the same time because they're both got the same position on the crankshaft in the stroke.
So when you're going, that goes up, 6 and 1 and 6, and then the other.
So yeah, so when 1's up the top, 6 is up the top.
Okay.
When 1's at the bottom, 6 is at the bottom. So that way, we'll turn the crankshaft all the way up.
Yeah.
For 1 and 6, put those 2 pistons in,
Yeah.
and then tighten them. Then we go and do the next 2 and then the next 2. So we get our piston, some more engine oil. So I like to mark front and what number piston it is. We make sure our rings are around the right way. This is our ring compressor. So we've got the crankshaft at bottom dead center for cylinders 1 and 6. Then we'll turn it over, put our rod caps on and torque the conrod bolts. All the pistons and rods are in. We're going to put the grub screws in the oil galleries in the crankshaft. So we'll Loctite those, lock them up, and then keep going. Okay, so that's Bono's bottom end just about finished, minus a sump and a couple other bits and pieces which we have to pull off his car when we're ready to actually put the engine in the car. This is the Platinum Racing Products block brace / all-wheel drive sump adapter. So we use these on all our engines, 450 kilowatts and above. Basically braces the main caps, or the main girdle to the pan rail, stops the block twisting, and then also allows you to bolt your all-wheel drive GDR, Stagia, GDS4 sump to your RB30 block. So yeah, that's it for now, and once we've got the head back, we'll finish her off.
So I got the GDR maybe about 4 years ago. It was an import from Japan. I didn't import it myself, but it was at a dealership and it had been imported and no one wanted to buy the car. And that was when the GDR prices were slowly going up. So I thought to myself that if I don't get it now, I'm never gonna get it. So that's when I bought it. So approximately about 4 years ago. Through friends, a lot of social media especially, seeing the builds, on Instagram posts, social media posts and stuff like that, especially specializing in the RB30 is what I'm really interested in. So that's why I hit up Dartone. So Anthony offers the 1000 horsepower crank to his customers, and I just feel like GDRs these days, if it makes 500 kilowatts, you know, that's just another average GDR. I wanted to just go a little bit extra but not too over the top, and also want to learn how to drive the car as well. I think 1000 horsepower is a good starting point, but we'll see how we go from there. But that's why I really wanted this build. And the 30, of course, a bit more displacement and whatnot, you have more response. So my approach was always to have response for the street, and that's really it, yeah.